This is Tar Heel Talk, an in-depth look at the issues and people making news in North Carolina. Here's your host, Sonia Williams.
My guest today has written a book based on real-life experiences of her son and is using it as a teaching tool for educators, parents, and others dealing with sensitive topics such as obesity, exclusion, bullying, and prejudice with children. Joining me now is author Andrea Lockhart Nixon and her son, Aaron Lockhart. Welcome to Tar Heel Talk.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Good. Glad you are all here. Now, you've written the book, Two Muffins, and it's based off Aaron. Tell us a little bit about the book, what it's about.
It's about a 5-year-old little girl, and she is teased by a little boy in her class named Aaron. Aaron sees her eat 2 muffins, and he begins to tease her, and all the other children begins to tease her as well. So Miss Molly and Miss Jorbell, which is the teachers of the class, have to teach them a little lesson about acceptance and differences in others and how we're supposed to look at others as God would have us to look at other people.
And the little girl in the story is
Her name
a little
is
overweight.
Cutie Pie Peggy, and
Okay.
she's a little overweight.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Aaron, how does that scenario relate to maybe your childhood experience?
Well, I used to get bullied a lot, and then I turned into the bully.
Okay.
So now I ain't know no bullying no more. Like it led me into a world full of trouble, and I ain't got time for it no more. So.
So you started out in maybe in elementary school being bullied, and then
Yes,
at
ma'am.
what point, okay, let's talk a little bit about that, because I think it's important to share your story to let other children know that they're not alone, and how to navigate that and handle that. So talk a little bit about your experience being bullied as a child.
Well, I just got bullied because I was overweight, and I mean that's not, to me, I mean it's not funny, but everybody used to think it was funny and everything. That had me build up a whole lot of anger and everything. So I always start fighting, acting crazy, because I don't know, like I used to get bullied a lot, and that changed me. Then I got into some trouble, got incarcerated. So, and then I seen the real world, like man, all that being angry and everything. I need to let it go, just move on with life.
Right.
Lost my weight and I'm good now.
Right. So you've been through several different phases in your life, and we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. But I want to ask you, Andrea, how you go about using this book as a teaching tool, how teachers and parents can use this.
In the book, it talks about how the teachers came up with a solution to help Cutie Pie Peggy and to open Aaron's eyes that beauty is in everyone. It doesn't matter if you fat, tall, small. It doesn't matter if you just different from others. See the beauty in other people. And I want teachers and parents to use my book. I don't want to get into a lot of detail because as they read it, they will understand what the book is about. But use my book as a teaching tool to open children's eyes and let them understand if we can teach them at a small age, then they'll grow up thinking, hey, this person not so different anyway, and I'm not going to look at this person as a tease and bullying. And really, I don't think children understand really what bullying is about.
Right.
And teasing people and how it really affects people as they are growing up. And as for my son, I saw it firsthand. And I chose to write about children being bullied and teased, and because sometimes, like I said before, children don't understand. They're really not thinking on that level that this may damage them for some parts of their life. And they can think back in their childhood life how I was picked on. So in my book, it's funny, it's children friendly, and it talks about how Miss Molly and how Miss Jorbell taught Aaron and the rest of the children a lesson. And at the end, it's a big surprise how it all turned out.
Oh, okay. So we can't wait to read that. How can people get the book?
You can go on my website and get the book. My website is Andrea Lockhart Nixon website at .com, Wixsite at .com, 2 Muffins. You can go on there, and I have a bio of me and Aaron, all about the author and why I chose to write the book and what the book is, a little summary of what the book is really about. And you can, and it's available as of today.
Excellent,
Yes.
excellent. So they can go online and purchase the book.
Yes. Now it will be available from Barnes & Noble and Amazon on the 25th of October.
Okay,
I think
so in
they
just a
told me.
few days. In
Yes.
just a few days, it'll be available in Barnes & Nobles and on Amazon.
Yes, but right now it is available to
On
view.
your website.
Yes,
Okay.
to purchase.
When you talk about bullying and witnessed what your son went through, at the time, did you recognize what was happening to him? I remember I have an older son, and I remember him being bullied in elementary school, and what that looked like in our house was him not wanting to go to school. And it was only years later that he told me why, and it's because he was being bullied at school. So as a
Exactly.
parent, sometimes, what are some of the things that you saw in your son that kind of let you know that things weren't quite right?
When he come home, how was today, Aaron? Fine. Go straight to his room. And being that I'm a parent that knows all 3 of my children, I know when something is not right. And then it would cause him to maybe overeat because, hey, I'm going to be, I remember one time when he was small, he said, you know what, I'm going to be big all my life anyway, so I might as well eat. And it causes people to have different emotions, how they deal with it. Some go in their room, some isolate themselves, some just do things, negative things, just to get negative attention. So we as parents have to be aware of our children, have a close relationship. And it all goes back to, as well, sitting with our children, talking to our children. When my children were small, we used to sit at the dinner table and talk. How was your day? Cell phone, not at the table. This is our time to catch up on today. And that's how I really recognize a lot of things that was going with Aaron, and a lot of avoidance, didn't want to really answer the question that was asked to him. And I knew, and I will, I saw him cry at one time in his bedroom, and he was like, why? And it hurts, and it's real.
Right. And that, I can imagine, Aaron, was a difficult time for you.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It actually was.
We're going to take a break, and we'll talk more in just a minute.
Okay.
We'll be back with more on 2 Muffins after these messages. Today's show focuses on a local author who has written a book based on real-life experiences of her son and is using it as a teaching tool for educators, parents, and others dealing with sensitive topics such as obesity, exclusion, bullying, and prejudice with children. And with us again is author Andrea Lockhart Nixon and her son Aaron Lockhart. Now, before the break, we were talking a little bit about bullying, and Aaron, how you were first bullied in school because you were a little overweight, and at some point you became the bully. Talk about that transition and what that looked like for you in school.
Well, my teachers, when I was getting bullied, my teachers used to love me and everything. Well, they still used to love me like the whole time I was in school. But like, I went from getting bullied to being a bully, and then with that being said, that took me on the other stuff, as in robbing and all types of crazy stuff like that. And that led to me getting locked up. So, I mean, when people bully, they don't really know what they're doing to somebody, but really they tearing them up on the inside. That's why I try not to bully nobody. and I try to talk to everybody with respect, because I want the same thing. Like,
How old were you? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No, you
interrupt.
good,
but
you good.
how old were you when you went to jail?
I was 19,
19. Okay.
just turned 19.
And what was that like for you?
Well, it was real. Like, it was real life. Like, it wasn't no video game or none of that. It was like really happening. Like, I mean, but you get used to it after a while. So.
But I'm sure that gave you some time to think about some of the
Think-
things you'd done. And
Think about it and move on from it. I ain't doing nothing I was doing before I got in. It's time to move on with my life now.
Absolutely, excellent. And Mom, I can imagine that was a difficult time for you, watching your son go through such a difficult.
Very, very difficult. It's just words I can't explain. Seeing them take your son away. And it all started back, and not to throw blame on no one, because we
Right.
take our own responsibility, but it all started back when he was small and being bullied, and then he turned into the bully. I remember one incident that Aaron didn't have the coolest sneakers. I couldn't afford the coolest sneakers. Aaron didn't have the coolest sneakers, and children used to tease him and, you know, like, look what you got on and look what you wearing, to the point that he didn't even want to go to school. And then he started, you know, hey, I'm gonna take money to get me some sneakers, and so people wouldn't laugh at me. But again, when young children are doing things like this, teasing, picking, they're not understanding how the other person feel. And sometimes you really don't understand how the other person feel until you're in that shoe, until it's done to you. So bullying, I take it very personal, very personal. And I'm on a mission to, you know, have children to know that they do have someone to talk to. They can reach out to talk to someone, because holding a lot inside of you is internally hurting you, and you need to express that in some manner, and it's going to come out in some matter, is a positive way or a negative way. And I want children to understand, let it come out in a positive way. Turn this around, have someone to talk to your parents, talk to a neighbor, talk to someone, and it's going to take us as grown-ups being aware of these children. Being aware is the first task to tackling bullying, is being aware it's happening in my home, in my school, in my classroom. It's happening.
And I think that that's something that's really important for parents and educators to understand, is that whether they're seeing it firsthand, it is happening.
It is happening.
Even in the best of our schools, it happens. Again, because a lot of kids don't even know what bullying looks like. But if it's happening to them, they certainly know what it feels like.
Yes.
So I think it's important to give our families the tools that they need to be able to properly address that. Is that something that you're working on as well?
Yes, I'd say my book has a threefold purpose. It's awareing people about obesity in young people, because parents, we have a duty. We are the first one to introduce them to food. So if we learn how to pick healthy foods, and if we take I know they might want candy, and every child does, but learn to monitor our children and introduce them to good food and vegetables and fruits and things like that. Put that before them, before you put the chips and the candy and all of that before them. Introduce them. We have a job, and even educators, even in our school, I see a lot of turning around in our school menus that is no longer offering the whole meal. It's the 2% milk, and not always offering the fatty foods. It's the vegetables. They push in apples, peaches, and things like that. If we can do that, that is the first task of eliminating a lot of picking, because in teasing because we're not realizing we don't want our children teased,
Right.
but we are not doing the proper steps to help them not to be in that spotlight as well. And the second fold is to stop bullying. Bullying is real, to aware people and to aware children, to alert children, and that bullying is teasing. Bullying is not always hitting.
Right.
Bullying is separating yourself. I don't want to play with you. You know, you too ugly, you too fat, you too. The cruel words like that comes out of little small children, and that's a type of form of bullying. And I want to alert little children and let them know that your words, let's build up our peers. Let us use positive words instead of negative words. And we are not bullying, we are bringing up a generation. If we can reach them at a young age and teach them the different forms of bullying. And my third fold is I want people to accept others. Acceptance, differences, diversity is a beautiful thing. And I want children to understand, and parents and teachers, all of us, is to unite. It doesn't matter what color you are, how big you are, or if you rich or poor, but it is for us to accept one another for who we are. Our heart tells us who we are.
Absolutely, that is very important. And we're going to take another break and talk more in just a minute.
Okay.
Don't go away. Tar Heel Talk will continue after these messages. Welcome back to Tar Heel Talk. I'm Sonia Williams. My guest today has written a book based on real-life experiences of her son and is using it as a teaching tool for educators and parents and everyone dealing with sensitive topics such as obesity, exclusion, bullying, and prejudice with children. And with us again is author Andrea Lockhart Nixon and her son Aaron Lockhart. Thank you again for being with us.
Welcome.
Now, you've written the book, Two Muffins. It's just become available, and it's based on Aaron's life and his journey through elementary school. And tell us a little bit about the book.
Again, Two Muffins is about a little girl named Peggy and a little boy named Aaron. And in this book, it talks about how she is a little chubby, and she is she's teased and bullied by the little boy named Aaron in his class. And then the other children start as well. Then the teachers, Miss Joy Bell and Miss Molly, comes out with the coolest plan to stop the bullying and to just expound on children that you can learn how to accept others. It doesn't matter who you are. And learn to accept individuals, how God will look at them. Will God turn his head on anyone? No. He loves everyone. And that's what I want in this to bring attention to a more accepting world. If we as parents show acceptance to others, our children learn from us. We are the first teachers. We are the first ones to play a part in our children's lives. So if parents and others will learn to accept people who they are, our children will see that in us. And then when things like that come up, our children say, oh no, I don't treat, my friend like that. She's my friend, he's my friend, no matter what. And that's what, sort of what happens in Two Muffins. But you have to buy the book.
Have to read the book, buy the book, and tell people how they can get the book.
You can get the book on my website. I have a website, Andrea Lockhart Nixon at wixsite.com, Two Muffins. And I have another book that's coming up as well.
Okay, and this, I was going to say, this book is just the first of a series about Aaron's journeys.
Yes.
So tell us about your second.
My second book is already written. I haven't gotten it to publishing yet, but it's already written, and the name of it is The Toolbox.
Okay.
And I am so excited about the Toolbox. It teaches also accepting, and it talks about bullying. This is the journey of my son's life, Aaron, and different things that he experienced in school. And it's I almost want to say better than the two muffins, but both of them is exciting. It's children friendly. The parents and teachers will enjoy the books, the series that I'm coming out with. It again, Two Muffins is already available, and the Toolbox will be available early 2018.
Okay. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. Well, Erin, you have given your mother quite a bit of writing material
Yes.
throughout your life and your experiences. You started out being bullied, went to being a bully, and now you're done with all of that. What advice would you give to young people, just thinking about your experience over the years? What advice would you give?
Honestly, I tell everybody that's being bullied, like, don't even worry about it. You know who you are, you know what you can do. You don't need to prove anything to anybody. Just put it in God's hands and everything gonna be all right. Honestly, because nobody really know you but you, so you know your inner worth, like.
Right.
Okay,
And it's important too to reach out if you are having a difficult time.
Yes,
because
it's
some
important.
people internalize and that can be very difficult for them
Yes.
to do that.
It's very important to have someone to talk to and to go to, and to have that you can exhale. That child should have someone, even if it's a brother or sister, to go to and exhale, because it is going to come out. Whatever is internally that's bothering you, it's going to come out, and we want it to come out in a positive way. And like my son say, know your inner worth. Know that. Don't worry about the teasing. Yes, it may hurt because we live in a real world.
Right.
Words does hurt, but know your inner self. And it's very important, I can't stress enough, to have someone that you can go to. And teachers, I want you to realize too that we have a job to do, not only to teach, but to know and be aware of what's going on in our classroom.
Exactly.
And parents, we have a job to know our children. Sit with your children, talk to your children, and tell them that they are beautiful, that they are self-worth, and that God loves them and you love them. And when children have a firm background and have a firm foundation, it helps when the bullying do start. But when you don't have nobody to turn to, and when you internalize everything, it causes problems growing up and sometimes in the adulthood.
Absolutely. Those issues can last a lifetime.
Yes.
Let's tell people, we have about a minute left in the show. We want to tell people how they can purchase your book.
You can purchase my book at Andrea Lockhart Nixon at WIXISITE.com, Two Muffins. That is Andrea Lockhart Nixon.wixsite.com, Two Muffins.
And it is, in a few days, it'll be available on
Yes.
Amazon and in Barnes and Nobles as
Yes,
well.
ma'am.
Okay, well, Andrea and Aaron, thank you both for sharing your personal stories with us, and thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you for allowing us to come on. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
That's it for this week's Tar Heel Talk. To comment on this or other episodes of the show, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, or send an email to tarheeltalk@fox50.com. I'm Sonia Williams. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again next week.